Brianna, want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, Seth, obviously he mentions the interest rates, and this is something that we didn't need to, this is not a guess game, right? If you go back to 1920, there was the Depression of 1920. It's often overshadowed by the Great Depression, but what you saw was very similar circumstances to what we're facing now. The Fed was rapidly increasing interest rates, and by January of 1920, you saw businesses threefold go under. The businesses that did remain, they lost nearly 70% of their profits. You had unemployment was almost 12% by 1920. That is a huge number, right? And of course, the Great Depression overshadowed it, but very similar circumstances. And the Biden administration will try to tout recent job gains, but it's important to look where the job gains are, because the biggest part, the government. We're expanding the government, but that's where the job gains are, right? It's not in these private sector employment areas, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly
and Seth,
right.
what do you think about, I mean, last week we heard Jerome Powell forecast, and the Fed's forecasting interest rate cuts next year. That also seems somewhat curious, the timing of that. What do you make of it?
Yeah, you go back to, I love the history comment, by the way, because I was a history major. So you go back and you actually look at 1967, the same thing happened, right? And we saw this rapid increase of rates, but then they cut immediately. What brought on after that? Well, Paul Volcker, and we saw a Fed fund rate around 19% because you had to try to put that genie back in the bottle. The reality is right now, interest rates are on the 50-year